Hello everyone, Social Coach Michael Knight here, and today I'm going to be talking about a topic that Andrew Tate brought up about Eastern Europe being more free or better than the West. And in a lot of ways I agree, and this is one of the reasons that I bring a lot of my clients to Eastern Europe for live training. Now as an American, I grew up in the West in the United States, and then I've got a grad degree in Germany, and I've lived in Germany and traveled all around Western Europe, almost every single country, and I've been to all the countries of Eastern Europe, and I've lived in Eastern Europe myself for many, many, many years, probably even longer than Andrew has collectively. So I kind of feel like I have a good perspective on this. But in this video, I'm not going to be glorifying Eastern Europe. I'm not going to be like, yeah, it's so much better than the West in every single way. That's clearly not true. It really depends who you are, what you do, how you make your money, and what you want, and a lot of other factors. And also, this video is going to be doing massive generalizations, because clearly not every single country in Eastern Europe is the same. They all have their own unique cultures. And when I say Eastern Europe, I'm talking about all the former Soviet countries, including those of the Warsaw Pact, and as well as the Balkans, the former Yugoslavia, and Bulgaria and Romania. Now, I know people like Poland are going to get angry at me and be like, don't call us Eastern Europe. We consider ourselves Central Europe. I love you, Poland. I'm sorry. But for the point of this video, that's how I'm going to be classifying everything. The main topics that Andrew brought up that I'm going to be commenting on include crime and safety, corruption and taxation, or some of people say they're one and the same, and as well as dating and culture. So starting off with crime and safety. Is Eastern Europe more safe than Western Europe? Well, in a lot of ways it is. And it really also depends on the type of crime. Now, if you've been to a place like Barcelona, it is super common in Spain to get pickpocketed, or in Italy, or any of those cities with a lot of tourism. Like, I know people who've lived there and they've been robbed 7 times in 1 year. Now, being robbed, I don't mean just like knife to them. That was 2 of the 7 times, give me your stuff. But a lot of times is you just put down your bag and someone picks it up and walks away with it. Or something little like that, or just someone gets it out of your pocket, your wallet out of your pocket when you're not paying attention. So in Western Europe and a lot of countries, especially tourist countries, that's super common. And then if we compare that to places like America, yes, I mean, there is a lot of crime, a lot of guns. It's certain city blocks and streets in U.S. cities can be extremely dangerous. You can just be in the wrong place in the wrong time. And we want to take that to even a bigger extreme. You could go talk about Latin America, where like every single friend I have that grew up in Latin America or South America, each one of them has had a gun to their head once in their life. Just the wrong place, wrong time. Thank God none of them were injured, but they all got robbed at least once. One guy even got carjacked at a stop sign, pulls up the stop sign, guy taps on the glass with a gun, says, get out. In El Salvador, this was. He gets out, he goes reaching for his backpack in the back seat because he has a computer, his school books. And the guy's like, whoa, 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 no, leave that. So he leaves that, he gets out of the car, goes home. The next day, he gets out of his house, he looks down the street, there's his car. He walks up to his car, his backpack with his MacBook and everything is still in the back of the car. He's like, the guy carjacked me, but left my car, left the keys in the car, and left all my belongings. And then he's like, you know why they did it? I was like, no, why they do it? He's like, that was just gang initiation. Like, that whole thing happened. He almost died just because they were probably initiating a new kid into a gang, and that was what they told him to do. Go jack that car, and you can join our gang. Crazy, right? So compared to stories like that, Eastern Europe is a lot more safe. Often you don't see that type of crime on the street. Now, there are some scams where they'll try to get you into bars and overcharge you for drinks and things like that. But a lot of times, if you're not out late at night and you're not messing with alcohol or the things that go along with it, you're not going to find yourself in any bad situations. There's not really any street crime anymore in most of these countries. Again, you can't speak exactly for every city in each one of the Eastern European countries, but in general, I do find that to be true. Which ties in again to the next point that Andrew makes is when it comes to like corruption and theft and the mafia being really in charge of everything. If you're not messing with them, again, no one's going to be messing with you. And again, I find this pretty much true. If you're not a super big G yourself and you're not really messing with other people's money, no one's really going to mess with you. And a lot of times what's more interesting about Eastern Europe is what I call is the difference between soft freedoms and hard freedoms. Hard freedoms are something like it's written into your country's constitution, assuming your country actually follows its own constitution. Not all countries do. But let's say, you have the right to a fair trial, you have the right to bear arms, things that where if you really ended up in a situation where you really needed the hard rule of law to protect you, it probably will. Now, that's a little less likely to help protect you in Eastern Europe, where there's more corruption in the courts and everything. But in Eastern Europe, what can be beneficial to you is what I call soft freedoms, where mostly people just don't give a crap about you if you're not getting in their way at all. It's kind of easy to get everything done. Now, there can be bureaucracy, but there'll also be what I call like the fast pass or the fast lane, where if you just pay the right person a little bit of money, all your permits, all your papers just get approved really quickly, and probably for a lot cheaper than it would be in the West. Now, in general, I don't think corruption is good. I think it makes a nation poorer. But corruption can also be a benefit to your side. Because, if everyone knows how the system works and everyone's allowed to use it that way, it actually in some ways can be more fair. For example, like in America, everyone has to pay high tax for the most part, unless you're super rich, and then you just pay people to write loopholes, so you don't have to pay tax, right? So in Eastern Europe, a lot of times, a lot of these countries, you can pay, like Bulgaria, I think it's around 10% flat income tax. So just flat, 10%, that's it. There's countries like Russia, if you're a self-employed entrepreneur, you can pay as little as 4 to 6% flat income tax. Now that's a little bit more if you have, it's actually a lot more if you have employees and you have to pay their social taxes and things like that. But if you're a self-employed person, you want to go to one of these countries and set up a business. Now if you're American, again, it's more confusing because America, you always have to pay the American government tax because it's based on your passport and not based on residency like the rest of the world, which is really annoying. And also, I really highly recommend you pay the IRS in America because they're the one government agency where you're guilty until you're proven innocent. It's not innocent until proven guilty. And if you want to hear crazy stories about what can happen to you, just check out Louis Rossman's YouTube channel and he'll show how an audit can completely ruin your business, ruin your life. And at the end of the day, they might find your fine is like just a few dollars, but all the time you have to put into it is just crazy ridiculous. So you don't want to get involved in that because it's not worth the time out of your life. But maybe if you're from a Western European country and your taxation is based on residency, well, yeah, maybe moving your small business to Eastern Europe and paying a flat tax of 10% on the income versus the high taxes you're paying in your country could be really beneficial to you. And you can completely do it legally. And that's not even getting into the gray market and how things kind of work in Eastern Europe when it comes to a lot of people don't actually get paid official salary. It's a lot of cash under the table and things like that. I'm not recommending that. I'm just talking about legally, a lot of these countries have really low income taxes because they want to encourage businesses. And you as a business owner, that could actually be a huge advantage to you. Now, again, each of these countries is going to have different tax law. Some countries like Serbia, it's super easy to go set up a company and they'll give you a residency after you do it. You just have to pay a small amount of tax on your business income. Other countries like Russia, if you're going there, don't speak the language, trying to set up a business and get a residency, yeah, that's going to be way, way harder. So if you're actually interested in learning how to do some of that, you can leave comments below, send me a message. I can point you in the right direction for more information. And the final point that Andrew brought up had to do with dating and culture. And this is the primary reason that I've chosen to live in Eastern Europe is so far Eastern Europe has been pretty resilient against the woke mind virus. The culture is still very relaxed. They're not freaking out about every little thing. They can still laugh at jokes. And this is really freeing. And this is one of the main reasons I'm staying there. When it comes to dating, well, I'm actually married, but for people who are dating or looking for a partner, the culture is much more traditional in the sense that men and women aren't competing. They're supposed to come together and be a team and make their lives better synergistically, and it's not always a competition. That's what's kind of come down to in America, especially, is everything's a competition everywhere. And not everything in life is supposed to be competing where it feels like a win-lose dynamic. It should feel like a win-win dynamic. And one thing every guy is going to notice within 30 seconds of being in Eastern Europe is, one, the women are incredibly beautiful. I don't know if it's just genetics or diet, not having all that corn syrup like in America, probably a combination of both. And in addition to that, they're very feminine. Now, when I say feminine, what does that mean? A lot of people in the US think that means weak and submissive and do the dishes or some bullshit like that. That's not what I say when I mean feminine. Femininity is just a type of energy. And you kind of have to experience it, and it kind of brings out the best in a man and brings out his positive masculinity and energy as well. Now, if you've never experienced it, you're not really going to know what I'm talking about. That's why I highly recommend you join me on a trip and experience it for yourself, and that'll really motivate you to want to up your game more, learn better social skills, because you'll have a motivation and probably meet people you actually want to date. Because before you might be like, oh, what's the point? I'm not really interested. I never meet people I'm really into. Yeah, then you don't really have motivation to up your game and get your social skills to the next level. But you start meeting people who are like, wow, that's the type of person I really would like to be in a relationship with. How do I do it? And then you're like, okay, that's where I come in. I'm going to teach you how. Now back to the topic of femininity. Femininity doesn't mean weakness. And what's ironic is a lot of the women in Eastern Europe, they're a lot stronger than the average man in America. I mean, they went through the 90s with the collapse of communism, where sometimes some of them didn't even have like food or running water or electricity at some points as their systems all broke down. This has made them very strong, resilient people. But that hasn't taken away from their femininity. They can still be feminine, enjoy being women, and not feel like they have to compete with men, but still at the same time be very strong and resilient and able to go after their dreams and achieve what they want in life. It's only in the West that these things seem to be, for some reason, mutually exclusive, while in Eastern Europe, they go together just fine. So I highly recommend, especially if you're a man, to visit Eastern Europe, maybe just a week or two on your first trip, just go to 1 or 2 countries or 1 or 2 cities, and really see this for yourself. And if you want to join me and some other clients on a trip through Eastern Europe, feel free to fill out the application link to below and we can be in contact. And if you're not ready for that step, but you just want to start upping your social skills so that you can communicate in a more attractive way, well, I wrote a whole book on that, and that can be found linked to in the description below. As always, please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Until next time.